Hi everyone, so tonight I am making a bolognese sauce, and this, I pulled the label off by accident, but it is a mix of pork and beef, and it is 60% beef, 40% pork. I'm going to have a little bit of red wine. We've got some chopped tomatoes, bay leaves, some Worcester sauce, we've got some oregano, carrot, garlic, some tomato puree, a little bit of cream, double cream, and then a massive onion, which I'm not going to use all of that, but that's just a homegrown onion there, so I'll be using maybe half of that. So let's get cracking with the first steps. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of oil, vegetable oil, sunflower oil, whatever you've got. Not too much, just a drop, in the frying pan, and I'm going to pop that on to heat up a little bit. Now, the only thing I find with this, like normally when I buy beef mince, I buy 5% fat, but because this here, I like using the mixture of the beef and the pork for bolognese. You can't sort of choose unless I bought the mince and the pork separate, so I don't actually know the fat content of it, but it does kick out some fat, so I will be draining some of it off. So before I started, I've washed my hands, and I'm going to be handling raw meat, so I won't be touching anything else. I'll just be popping a little bit of this in here, and I don't put all of it in the pan at once, so I'm just going to wash my hands 2 seconds. And all I'm going to do is fry this off, and I don't put all of the meat in at once because I want to sort of brown it and fry it off. And sometimes I find if you overload the pan, it just sort of almost boils the meat, just like with the juices and the fat or whatever that comes out of the meat. So I tend to just put sort of half or quarter of the pack in and then cook it off. So we'll crack on and get this cooked. And you can see there that that's cooking nicely. So obviously this is still raw, but it's cooking nicely. So what I do, because you can see in the pan there's like loads of fat, and I know fat is flavour to a degree, but I don't want me bolognese sauce and stuff just absolutely swimming or greasy as hell. So this is what I do just as I'm cooking it off. Pop it in a colander, and it just drains out the bottom, any of the excess fat on there. Right guys, so there's our mince, that's all fried off, and I've just had it in this colander thing here. And what I'm doing is draining it, as I said, because a lot of the juices, and I know fat is flavour, some people say, but it's just a personal preference. If you want to leave that in, leave it in, but we take it out. So the next thing what I'm going to do is we're going to sort of sweat our onion off, and you can see here that I've grated our onion. Now there's 2 reasons that I've grated it. One is it cooks quicker, and number 2 is hidden veg. So I'm going to do exactly the same with my carrots as well. I'm going to grate them, and you can grate them as big or as fine as you like. So there's 2 reasons why I do, because it turns into hidden vegetables and it cooks quicker. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the gas on again. I'm just going to pop a little bit of oil in. You can use olive oil, you can use whatever oil you've got. Vegetable, sunflower, olive oil, all works. It's all the same. So I'm just going to let that oil heat through just a little bit. So I'm going to pop in the onion that I've grated. And I don't want to caramelise or anything like that. I just want to sort of sweat it out, if you like. Just so it goes almost, not like a, yeah, but like a puree kind of thing. So I'm just going to cook that out. Again, I don't want to caramelise or brown the onions off. I just want to sort of sweat them out, and that's that. So while that's cooking away slowly, because I just have it on a low heat, I'm just going to grate the carrot. So I'm just grating the carrot now. So it's a Friday evening, and Carl and my son have gone away for the weekend and they're going fishing. So I always keep myself busy, so I'm going to be making the bolognese sauce for pasta bolognese. I'm also going to be using some of the bolognese to do lasagna, because let's face it, the bolognese sauce is the heart of a lasagna. And I'm just going to get a few videos done, to be honest, so I can get them loaded out. So they've gone sea fishing, and it's for cod, I think, and pollock. So yeah, so I have the weekend just with Ruben and Oscar, the dogs, and just doing whatever I want to do really. So I'm just going to get caught up on some jobs that I need to do and get done myself, just while they're having a bit of lad and dad time. So that's the carrot grated up there, and our onions are sweating off nicely. Don't worry if it catches on the bottom a little bit, just keep moving. And you can see there that it's softening. It only takes a couple of minutes. I'll give it another minute. My eyes are stinging, honestly. Those onions I grew myself, and they're quite strong, to be honest. They're supposed to be mild, but they're quite strong. My eyes is watering a little bit, but anyway, so I'm going to give that another 30 seconds or so, and then we're going to add the carrot. So yes, I'm going to be doing the bolognese sauce. I'll be keeping some back because, like I say, my son, he loves pasta with bolognese, and then I like the lasagna, so they are away. But this here will keep in the fridge, or it stores perfectly in the freezer as well. And I do make lasagnas for the freezer, but I just don't bake them or cook them, so I just sort of layer them up, which I'll show you in another video, and they're perfect for the freezer. So you can see there, that's sort of gone a little bit puree, sort of, and they've softened down. So now what I'm going to add in before my carrot is my garlic. Now my garlic is homegrown as well, and they didn't really do very well. It did. I got a few biggish ones, but these are just the smaller ones that I'm using now. So I'm going to put 4 or 5 of these little cloves in, because they are really, really small, and we do like our garlic. So there's 4 cloves gone in there. I'm just going to put one more in because I've peeled it. There we are, and that's done. So we're just going to keep stirring that, and again we're just going to sort of sweat that out, sweat the rawness out of that. We don't want it cooked or fried, like browned off. We just want to keep it as is, and then we're going to add our carrots after a few minutes. So in goes our carrot. Get it all in, waste not, want not. Now when I was 15 to 17, I worked in an Italian restaurant, and then they opened up a takeaway shop, and I moved to the takeaway shop, and I actually ran the shop with two of the girls, and this was how they did their bolognese, but obviously on a much larger scale. And again, this is where the beef and the pork comes in, because they used to use beef and pork. It wasn't just beef. And the guy who owned it was called Vince, and he was like a proper Italian. He came over from Italy, and his family, and settled over here. He sadly passed away a few years ago now, but he was an absolute lovely gentleman, and yeah, fond memories of working there. So yeah, and then I got an office job after that, so to speak, a different kind of job. But yeah, so I'm going to just sweat the carrots down now, and we'll come back in a bit once they've sweated down. Again, you don't want to brown them off, it's literally just sweating it down. And I think with bolognese, it's kind of like a labour of love, isn't it? So you've got to be patient with it and just take your time. Now, I'm no way at all saying that you know, I'm a qualified chef or anything like that, because I'm not. I just love to cook. And unfortunately I had the two jobs. I had my day job, and then I had the job at the Italian takeaway, and I couldn't do both, so eventually I had to choose one or the other, and I chose a different path. So I couldn't work in the shop anymore because, like I say, it was taking its toll. Working days and nights on most days, to be fair. So yeah, and the weekends and stuff whenever you're on and things like that, because obviously that's a busy time. So anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make a little well in the centre, and I'm going to pop our drained meat in. Again, you don't have to drain if you don't want to. That's just a personal preference of ours. And I'm just going to mix it all around, combine it all through. One thing that they didn't used to add was the red wine. That's just something I add in myself because I think it does enhance the flavour just a little bit. So that's like one little tweak that I've done. So the mince is in, and some people will put the mince in, or you can put your mince in raw at this point if you want. It's just the fat element of that I don't like. That's why I'm adding it in cooked. That's the only reason. So next in goes our tomato puree, and in goes roughly 2 tablespoons. And again, you want to cook this and sweat it off and get that flavour. That's like a almost bitter flavour, does tomato puree, but I'm just going to give it a good stir around, coat it on all of the ingredients that's already in the pan, and I'm just going to cook that out and sweat it out for like 2 to 3 minutes. Now in next goes the red wine. You want about 4 tablespoons. And I normally buy a different one to this one, but they didn't have it in these little miniature bottle things because we're not really big drinkers of wine. So I'm just going to add that in, and we're just going to just cook that off again for about 4 to 5 minutes. In next, I'm just going to chuck a couple of bay leaves in there. And I just put half a teaspoon of the oregano in, but because if you put it, you can put a teaspoon in if you really like oregano, but we just use half of it because we're not like massive fans having loads in. So personal preference, say put a teaspoon in, or do what we do and put half a teaspoon in. Next in goes Worcester sauce. We want 2 of them. They go in. Give that a good mix around. It's starting to smell so fragrant now. Really, really nice. I've just changed the lighting or the settings because it doesn't look on the camera. It doesn't look like what it looks like in the pan. So if you've noticed, like, the settings change, that's why. I need to get to grips with me camera skills, to be honest. I've invested in a tripod, so that's a start. So next in goes our chopped tomatoes. So if you don't want lumps and bumps in, just blitz them before they go in. So I'm going to add a tin of them in. Yes, if you don't like the lumps and the bumps in, just blitz them with a hand blender or food processor. It smells absolutely amazing. I'm just going to add the second tin in. It's the second tin going in there. And then finally, what I'm going to add in, you can add milk if you want. I know this sounds really strange, but you can add milk if you want, or double cream. And all you want is a couple of tablespoons. And that's the one I used the Worcester sauce on, so that's why it had a bit of thing in. And that's just going to give it a bit of extra body and that creaminess as well. Optional that, but that's how we used to do it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add a little bit of water. And the reason for that is because I'm just going to simmer this on a very low heat, and it obviously all of the juices and stuff's going to simmer down and boil down. I don't want it to boil dry and go dead thick. So you've got a couple of options now. So what you can do, I'm going to change the settings actually, that's annoying me. So what you can do from now on, it's ready to go. So if you want to eat this now, you can eat it now. But what we do is I leave it on a very low heat for about 2 hours. If you haven't got 2 hours, or you can't leave it on a heat for 2 hours, pop it in the slow cooker for about 4 hours on low. And what that will do, it will really, really, really intensify the flavours and bring all of those flavours out. So I think it's really important to simmer this away and have it simmering away for a couple of hours, or like I say, in the slow cooker, and because it brings out those flavours. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'll bring you back in a bit once it's fully simmered down. And one thing to note as well, just keep adding a little bit of water as time goes on if it starts to dry up, but you really do need to have this sort of cooking away slowly for about 2 hours, guys. So there you have it, that's the 2 hours now up and done. If you want the carrot to disintegrate a little bit more, just grate it finer. And here's a shot at the end of the Bolognese sauce. Enjoy, guys.